Alright, in this video we are going to continue writing queries, and we will extend what we have learned by adding an order by clause. Alright, so step number one is right click the table, edit the top 200 rows, and make sure that you add a new row. The ID is 4. The name stored is Mary, but give her the title of HTML developer. So notice that now we have a Mary who's the vice president and a Mary who's an HTML developer. And so make sure you know that's there. You can hit that little exclamation mark, save it all, make sure it's all the way it's supposed to be. Alright, so make sure you modify your table this way. Now, first code we're going to write looks like this. Use my dbase, and for now we'll type select all from and then dbo. There you go. So let's run this. So as you can see, this selects all of the records and all of the columns. So now let's restrict the columns. So that will give us the following: select name, comma, say title, like that. Alright, so look very carefully at the effect of this. There you go. So now we have only the column called name and the column called title. Alright, so now let me move this down here, comment this out. I'll save these and put them in a document. Alright, copy this, place it over here. Alright, so now that we know what that is doing, we're going to impose a restriction that says where name equals Mary, and we will run that. So you have one restriction that affects the rows. So look very carefully now at the result down here. Let's run this. And as you can see, we've reduced the record set to only 2 records. Now remember, record goes from left to right. Okay, name and title. So we've got 2 Marys, one a vice president and the other one an HTML developer. Alright. Now we're going to introduce an order by, and we're going to type title like this. Okay? And we will type that. So order by the title in descending order. So let's run this. And notice now we still have the Marys, but now they are sorted by the title, so it goes from vice president to HTML developer. If we remove this and we execute, see now the HTML is first and the vice president is second. Okay? Now that's that. So this is how you order by. And remember, this is all highly sequential. Okay, so please be sure that you execute these line by line and you see the modification or the meaning of each line as it occurs line by line by line. This way it will always be very clear and precise. Alright, so use my dbase. Okay. If you run this by itself, execute that, nothing really happens, right? There's nothing, you're just using it. Okay, select name title from dbo that table 1. So this will select only 2 columns, as you can see. There you go. Okay, so 2 columns selected. Then we impose a restriction that says where name equals Mary, and notice that in this case, because we're working with text, the where name equals Mary, the Mary is within single quotes. So execute that, and notice that reduced it to 2 records only. And lastly, sequentially, order by title descending. Right now, as you can see, if you run this like that, or if you run it without it, see, if you run it without it, it goes HTML developer vice president, and with it, it turns into the other thing. See? Vice President HTML developer. There you go. So please be sure you write these in sequence, really understand them, And again, here, even with a more complex query like this one, if you do the estimated execution plan and expand that, you see that? It's going to tell you. Now this breaks down a little differently, right? Because we have the selection, which is 0%. But notice that this time the sorting is quite expensive, right? 78% of the cost. And the index scan, meaning the searching for the data, is 22%. Okay, we'll talk about indexes in a little bit. But notice that this program is quite smart and provides a lot of useful information for you to refer to. Alright, so thank you very much. And again, I'm providing PDFs. And the PDF is, a query, and there's the effect of the query, a modification to the query, and then the next effect that is visible. Then you modify the query, and you look at the next effect that is visible. And one more thing to be tried is this. Let's introduce a new word like this. So we don't need this anymore. Execute the simple thing. So this returns the 2 Marys, and now type this new word, and title equals vice president. So naturally, in this case, when you run this query and you execute that, I misspelled something here. Let me fix the spelling. It's late at night. I've been up all day working. Notice that it returns only that one record. Okay. So again, please be sure you type this: one little bit, run, one little bit, run, one little bit, run. If you will learn to write queries that way and execute them after any small modification, soon enough you'll have a very deep understanding of how these queries behave. If you try to write a whole query and just get to the result, so to speak, you'll miss a lot of the detail and therefore a lot of the comprehension that comes from very sequential execution. And that is it. So thanks very much, and I will see you in another video.